Hi, so good news. Trump is sending troops to Gaza. Yay, that's a great development. No, he's saying he's ending the war finally, that they've agreed to the peace plan, even though Israel is continuing to bomb Gaza. But they're saying they're ending the war, and so now Trump wants to send troops in to keep the peace and build a democracy. We've heard that a lot. And that's why this sounds scary, because we've heard a lot of times that, our democratic institution at home wants to spread the democracy abroad. And that, yeah, if we just force our will on these people in the Middle East for the last time, well, we'll finally do it. We'll actually succeed this time. Because Trump, he's the best deal maker. Now, we all know, of course, that Trump just wants to build his own Riviera in the Middle East, that he wants to build his resort there. And that's why he wants to take control of the area. And he's sending troops there to effectuate that. And let's read what's actually happening. So the AP reports the United States is sending about 200 troops to Israel to help support and monitor the ceasefire deal in Gaza, which again, it actually hasn't been a ceasefire because Israel is continuing to break it. Now, there's a part of the team that includes partner nations, non-governmental organizations, and private sector players. Yeah, they're selling off Gaza to rebuild it as their own resort rather than the people of Palestine's land, their country. That's why it's so important to recognize the state of Palestine as a state so Trump can't sell it off to his developer friends. All right, the officials who spoke in condition of anonymity to discuss details that were not authorized for release said U.S. Central Command is going to establish a civil military coordination center in Israel that will help facilitate the flow of humanitarian aid as well as logistical and security assistance into the territory racked by 2 years of war. Now, that sounds good, but they're always talking about giving aid, and the main source that they were claiming of humanitarian aid for Gaza was also killing people and shooting them while those people were looking for aid. Right now, as people are going back up north, Israel is still shooting them. We have naval vessels shelling people walking back up north. So no, I don't trust that it's just going to be a civil military coordination. This still seems like they're still going to be treating the Palestinian people as occupants, as they still are. Their remarks provide some of the first details on how the ceasefire deal will be monitored and that the U.S. military would have a role in that effort. After Israel and Hamas agreed to the first phase of the Trump administration's plan to halt the fighting, a litany of questions were made in next steps, including Hamas disarmament, a withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, and the future government in the territory. These are all very important questions that I don't trust Trump to deal with. And again, like the ceasefire deal will be monitored by the U.S. military and would have a role in keeping the ceasefire. We have been having a role. We have been monitoring it. And you know whose side we've been on? The Israeli side. The one who's doing the genocide. Do you think it's going to stop just because we said there's a peace now? One of the officials said the new team will help monitor implementation of the ceasefire agreement and transition to a civilian government in Gaza. We've said that before, and it hasn't worked out because we're not good at establishing democracy abroad, especially when we don't have the best democracy at home. Now, here's the thing. The Coordination Center will be staffed by about 200 U.S. service members with expertise in transportation, planning, security, logistics, and engineering. This is what the officials said, who noted that no American troops will be sent into Gaza. Now, this didn't make much sense to me because, the title of the article is 200 troops to be sent to Israel and Gaza. So I'm not entirely sure what they're counting as a troop or not, or what the powers of that will actually be, but they're being intentionally vague here. As we hear from this official and this other official, there'll be troops from other areas, they'll be taken from Central Command, other countries, even some from Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the UAE. But we're not entirely sure what their powers actually are, what the extent of them will be. Because as Trump has shown, he's willing to allow almost any sort of force to be used to try to establish peace in the area, even if it means destroying the peace in the area. Now, Trump is highlighting Admiral Brad Cooper. Now, he's been an admiral for a while, but he's also Israel's favorite admiral. He was really backing them in their bombing of Iran, and he wants to, keep troops to keep ISIS out, which just isn't working. We've been trying this forever. Trump, took out troops specifically because he recognized that just keeping American troops in the Middle East doesn't help anything, because usually we're just making things worse. We're harassing civilians and we're leaving power vacuums, and we're not actually establishing good democracies. We're just establishing power structures that help us, not the people. Now, Cooper joined the U.S. side of talks in Egypt this week, according to one of the U.S. officials, and he helped reassure Arab countries at the negotiating table the U.S. would put a strong guarantee behind his commitments, a reassurance to the Arab countries that passed along to Hamas. That's nice, but what has that done so far? They're involved in this, which is good. We have Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, and the UAE involved in this. I'm glad, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be peace for the people, because they haven't done anything so far for them. Finally, we've negotiated an end to the genocide, but it hasn't even ended because Israel is still being allowed to kill civilians. So, in conclusion, I really want there to be peace, but I want there to be actual peace. I don't want just us to be officially occupying the region so that Trump can sell it to his private businesses and so he can get rich off the suffering of more Palestinians. Now, if you agree with what I had to say, please comment. If you have any other thoughts, leave those too. And then please share, like, and subscribe. I'm a small creator trying to grow bigger. Thank you very much. Have a great day.